few quick announcements. The first one will be from Jeremy. If you could talk a little bit about your project.
All right, so just talking with Jim, the CEO of LDS Hospital again this week. We're going to do it on July 11th at 12 o'clock, and we're going to be down there. He's actually doing a lot more than I expected. He emailed me and said that we're actually going to have lunch with him personally and do a Q&A with him and a couple of the chief operations officers. So that's going to be really cool. And then he'll give us a tour of LDS Hospital, which is over a 200-bed facility, so it's going to be sweet. And right after that, we're going to go down to University of Utah, and we're going to meet with the director. They're going to give us refreshments and food as well. So the plan is we'll bus down there probably Friday morning around 5 or 6 in the morning to get down there, and then we will stay overnight in a hotel. So the cost will be about $50, $60 a person, but that includes a meal plus the meal the CEO is going to give us, plus the refreshments from University of Utah. And so it's going to be really awesome. It's a steal. So I just need to get all of your names, just name, phone number, email, and I number so we can get this set up. And whoever's interested is welcome to come for sure.
Did you say the 24th of July?
No, it'd be the 11th of July.
July?
Yeah, so it's a Friday. So we'll leave. So we'll come back Saturday morning.
Leave Friday morning, come back Saturday morning.
If you just have someone to stay with, because like,
If you have
I've
someone
got
to stay
people that
with.
live right across the street.
Yeah.
We can probably work that out. Yeah.
And we'd have to talk to Steve Zollinger. He's the one setting it up through the schools, that school sanctioned.
Yeah.
But we might be able to work something out. We can ask him.
Yeah. For sure.
That's a good question.
Our last trip, we were able to see like family, if we really wanted to, and then they would just give us less hotel room.
Okay.
Cool. That might be an option. So that'd be an option. So if you're interested at all, and if you need, like, if you're gonna stay with the family or planning on staying with the family, just write that in here as well, just so we kind of know, so I can give Steve. We're gonna coordinate all this, just the details on it.
Is there a professor that's gonna be with us because last time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Brother Tolman is probably gonna be with us. If not, he's gonna have somebody else be there, or Steve or something.
Yeah, even if you're possibly going, I mean, you still have to solidify the date for yourself and maybe work out some plans. Even if you're contemplating the idea and you're excited about it, put down your info and we'll keep you up to date on what happens. So.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. That's a really neat project, and so U of U's got an MBA MHA program, and so it'll be a really neat opportunity to see the hospital and the program. So, and then we've also got an announcement by Katie. So take it away.
Okay. So my name is Katie Lane. There was an announcement made last week about the Packet Forum. I'm in charge of that. If you are interested in helping out with that forum, or you have been helping out last semester, I need you guys to stay for about 5 minutes afterwards, just to get everyone on the same page. So.
Thank you. And that's another really neat project for this semester, so get in contact with Katie. So without further ado, I will give the introduction to our speaker today. So we have Trevor Cardon here with us, and I'll give a more personal bio of him, and then he'll tell us about what he's currently doing in the industry and some of his past experience. So Trevor is a native to Seattle, Washington. So any other Washingtoners out there? I don't know what they yeah, so there we go. And then he served his mission in Ecuador, Quito, Ecuador, and graduated in accounting in 2004 from BYU, Idaho. His wife, Kimberly, is with us this afternoon, and we appreciate her being here with us as well. She graduated 2013 in university studies. They call Rexburg home, correct? And have 4 children, 1 12, 1 10, 1 7, and 1 2. 3 girls, 1 boy. So there's the personal breakdown. We are excited and extremely anxious to hear from you. And so let's give Trevor a warm welcome.
Justin, you did really good. My wife just leaned to me and said, "I'm surprised you got all our kids' ages right." Talking about me, not him. So I did something right. Our third daughter just had her birthday, actually on Saturday. So Audra, and she just turned 7. So I'm excited to be here with y'all to talk about something I'm very passionate about, something I really enjoy. So I thought I did prepare a slide presentation. So just so you know where I work now, I work at Madison Carriage Cove. It's a new short stay rehab facility here in Rexburg. Anyway, we'll talk about nursing homes and perception. But this is our family picture. So once a year, my wife came up with the idea of having an ancestor birthday party. So we celebrate our ancestors once a year. And that was the only picture I could find. My wife was looking at me like, "You are crazy for getting that." I thought it was kind of cool. So my background. I graduated in 2004 in accounting. At the time, they didn't have healthcare administration as a degree here. And so my 2 options were accounting or business management. And I went with accounting, even though I really hate accounting, because, no, I'm serious, I really hate accounting. I'm not even joking. When I graduated, I did my GPA, I broke out my GPA from business to accounting. My Italian class GPA was 2.7. Not very good. I saw you wince, like, wow, that's horrible. It is. But my business management was like 3.9. And so my overall GPA turned out being 3.4, 3.5, which isn't that great at that. But the reason I did accounting is I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I still kind of don't in some ways. But, and I figured accounting for me opened more doors than a business management degree. Because my dad's an accountant by trade, but he worked in construction and owned no business, and he said accounting is the language of business. And so I did accounting, and I hated every minute of it, but I graduated in 2004, and when I left here, we got a job out in Northern California, Sacramento area, working in home building. I worked about a year in the accounting department in home building, and after that, I went into a project management role. I got really tired of sitting behind a computer and not dealing with people. I worked in that for a few years, and then I went to another company and worked as a financial analyst in the land department. Created some Excel spreadsheets that were pretty cool at the time, and now it's not that cool because you guys can do a lot more with macros and things that I could do. After that, I saw the home building industry taking a dive back in 2008. And I really felt like I needed to get out of it. And my wife's cousin worked for a company called the Enzyme Group as a nursing home administrator. And so I just went and interviewed with them. I don't know how I got a job with them, but I did, and they gave me a shot. So the Enzyme Group, their service center, their corporate office, you can call them, are out of Southern California. So we went down there, did some training. It's called an AIT program, Administrator Training Program, with the Enzyme Group down in Ventura County, which is the most beautiful place on earth. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's right on the beach, and it's beautiful. It's just really, really expensive. And at the time, my salary was cut in half during that AIT program. This company, how they set it up, they say, look, we'll train you, but you'll have to sacrifice to come work for us. Which was really nerve-wracking at the time. I didn't know anything about healthcare. In fact, when we were going to school here, my wife and I went to the nursing home on the hill here in Rexburg, and I was like, this is the worst industry ever, and I'm never going to work here in this industry. But the company I worked for, Enzyme Group, really kind of changed my thoughts on that, and since I've been in the industry, it's really changed how I feel about the industry, and particularly long-term care. So I went down there. I did my training for about 9 months down in Southern California. After that, I went and ran a short facility in Upland. I think I even brought it later on. But I ran a facility in Upland. It was a 200-bed facility with a subacute unit. So they had 36 subacute beds where we took vents and trays. I was there for about 6-7 months. And then, while they're trying to find the right person to run a large building like that, I went out to Texas after that, ran a facility called Veranda in South Texas, where I was, it was a 95-bed facility. That was really fun building. When I got there, the company said, look, we don't expect a lot out of this facility, just break even. I was like, wow, that's great. That's in the expectations, I want to go there. So when I got there, it was a new acquisition down in Texas. I have a map, I'll show you a little later. But the previous company was losing about $30,000 a month. And so when I got there, it was called Skilled Mix. You guys remember about Skilled Mix? Anyway, Skilled Mix is your Medicare and HMO patients, those that are on therapy services. Okay, so they short stay. Skilled Mix and short stay is kind of the same thing. So they're there for about 20, 30 days, and then they go home. And that's called Skilled Mix. And so at the time when this facility started, there were about, when I took it over, there was a total of 60, and the capacity was 95. And our skilled mix was 5 patients a day on average. When you make your money on skilled patients, you don't make your money really on the long-term patients. The long-term patients pay the bills, and the short-term patients, you make your money. I was there for 3 years. When I left, we were averaging 85 average daily census, with the skilled mix of about 25 to 30 in the skilled mix. Now this facility I ran was 40 years old, no kidding. You walk down the floor, it was a very clean place, but there'll be cracks across the floor and things like that. So it was amazing, it was a lot of fun. When I was down there in Texas for about a year, there was a brand new 120-bed facility that opened out, 40 private rooms with private suites that had bathrooms and everything in each room, and showers. And I was nervous. Like, I'm going to lose my job. This building to come in, and they're going to get all the patients, and I'm going to go home and not have anything at all to do. And but it was cool. You know, we built our reputation so well that we actually ran a higher skill mix than that new building. They ran about 20 to 25, and we ran about 25 to 30 in this 40-year-old building. And it was so fun. It was amazing. You just really get to know a lot of people. So after that, I was there for 3 years, and I wanted to go do something different. Enzyme Group, they have opportunities, but they weren't in pediatrics. And I was approached by a company out of Utah to come run a new pediatric vent trach unit in Utah. It's 36 beds. And so I went down, I went to Utah. It was really sad, actually, to see 2-month-old babies come in on a trach unit vent. I wasn't prepared for that part of it. But it was an amazing experience. I wasn't there very long. And that's when I came up here to Rexburg, and I've been here since January. Okay, so that's kind of my experience. In Texas, I was the CEO of my facility, and then here in Rexburg, I'm the CEO of this short stay rehab facility. Okay, I am 36 years old. I look younger than I actually am. People look at me like, you're what? You're not old enough to run this facility. Like, well, I'm actually 36. They still say, oh, you're still too young. And I say, well, just come join my building, I'll show you why.
Or you can show them your bald spot.
That's right. Oh, man. Nice bald spot in the back. My wife cuts my hair. This is a funny story. Sorry. When we were going to school before we were dating, I was like, oh, I want to see how my wife cuts my hair. And so she cut my hair. And anyway, she had never cut hair before. I ended up going to college to get it fixed. But ever since then, she's cut my hair most of the time, which is kind of fun. So I want to talk a little bit about baby boomers, okay? And you probably covered this in class. I'm sorry if you did, if this is a review. But I found some stats. So the baby boomers basically from 1946 to 1964 is kind of the time frame. It was right after World War II ended. And the Great Depression, they were coming out of the Great Depression, and a lot of people wanted to start having kids because they're very optimistic about the future. Well, during that time, there were about 76.4 million baby boomers that were born during those years. Okay. So baby boomers today, the oldest baby boomers are already in their 60s. By 2013, about 1 in 5 Americans will be older than 65. Another baby boomer turns 50 every 7 seconds, which I thought was amazing. The baby boomers today represent 28% of the U.S. population, and that will continue to grow. So, I guess and then I wanted to talk a little about life spans and how we're living longer now than we did in the past. So this is kind of the average age of death in years. So back in 1850, people were dying about 37. In 2000, now they're about 75 or so. So you have this group of people that are 76.4 million people are coming into this age of 65. Plus you have people that are living longer. Okay. So the question is, where are you going to be taking care of them? Okay. And there might be other places, but from a medical standpoint, I thought of 4. One is the hospital, one is the skilled nursing or nursing home, another is assisted living, and home health and hospice. Those are the type of the 4 areas that I thought of that these 76 million people are going to need to be taken care of. I don't know much about hospital administration. I've worked in the hospital, but for the last 5.5 years I've worked in long-term care, skilled nursing. So I wanted to talk a little about what are your perceptions of a nursing home before I talk about my perceptions. Honestly, come on. Smelly, yeah, they stink, huh? Yeah, they do. They can. What else?
You just hear lots of instances of neglect, poor care, just lots of junk going on.
Okay, like what kind of junk?
Oh, leaving them too much in urine or
Yeah.
in, bed sores, things of that nature.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Something I was told by family members that they think that nursing homes are where you send old people to die.
Yeah. Yeah. They go to their die. They go at the last days. Yeah.
I guess kind of on the flip side, in high school I used to volunteer at a nursing home, and it was actually kind of fun. They had activities all the time, people running around, not running around. But just like, they had a bunch of activities.
Rolling around.
Yeah. But I mean, they had like a bunch of activities for them and stuff, and it was actually kind of a good experience.
Cool. Good. I'm glad you had that experience. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
My grandparents always complain about the food.
Yeah, food can be nasty.
It's nasty.
Yeah, it's like a cafeteria. You see on the picture where they put slop on the plate, right? Yeah. Did you have a comment? Did you raise your hand?
Yeah, we went to a long-term care conference down in Pocatello, and when I was there, I heard tons of thoughts about how you need to treat them like people. Sometimes they're not treated like a person because they start to lose their cognitive abilities, or you need to put yourself in their shoes, and that there tends to be a lot of problems with the caretakers that are people that you can hire just off the street and not treating them in that way. So kind of like what Chance was talking about. And then I also think about some just like taking off out of the facility, you gotta go catch them.
Running off, eloping.
Yeah.
Eloping is kind of a risk sometimes. Yeah, run away. Yeah.
I always heard they were really lonely, where people would just drop their relatives off and then they wouldn't come visit them anymore.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I heard all of that. In fact, that was my perception. Like I said, my only experience was dog on the hill. But when we were here, I don't know how it is now, but I didn't know. That was a
Still.
lie. So, I went in the secret shop the other day too. So, that was my perception. I think, people go to their die, it smells. The only reason people are in a nursing home is because the family doesn't care about them. And they get neglected and abused. So I just want you to know I understand. And that's what I thought when I thought of a nursing home. So I want to talk a little bit about a little more experience about healthcare that I had. I know I touched on this already, but that's the facility in Upland. Like I said, it was 200-bed facility. 36 of those were beds for subacute unit and trach, which was fun. This is the South Texas facility that I ran in Harlingen, Texas. You see where that dot is down there? That's South Texas. We were actually about 20. Yeah, actually, I call it North Mexico, not even South Texas. They were the most kindest people and I've probably ever met. They would really give their shirt off their backs to you, and there's so much religion. When we first moved there, I think 5 of our neighbors invited us to church, and it wasn't our church, LES church. It was all the other churches that are down there. It was quite amazing. And family down there is so important to them, just like in Mexico and Latin American cultures. And actually it became a struggle because they wanted us to communicate any change of condition that we had with their family member to like 20 family members. And we just don't have time to call 20 people. So, but family's huge down there, so it was great. Like I said, I got there with about 60 residents, and 5 skilled, and when I left there was 85 and 25 and 30 skilled. That was fun. This is our Riverton facility that I ran just for a short time. When I got there we had 5 patients, and when I left we had average of 28 patients there, which was fun. As a pediatric and adult trach unit. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about long-term care, nursing home direction. There's a big push starting to come up with the medical or health resorts, which are actually really fun. So there's a company in Texas called Remington Medical Resorts. It's a website, you should check it out. There's also one out in Florida called Riviera Health Resort. And then Enzyme Group, who is a publicly traded company that I worked for before, they just teamed up with a company called Main Street. They're back east to build these health resorts, and they have 5 planned, 2 out in Kansas and 3 in Texas already. Also, I wanted to mention that the assisted livings are really taking more of these nursing homes, long-term patients. Dave Lewison, who's the guy I work with, who owns this Homestead Assisted Living here in town, they have a lot of their patients would be, 10 years ago, would be in a nursing home or assisted living. They're now there at the Homestead in assisted living. And I think that's really you'll continue to see that trend where nursing homes will be less and less long-term unless there's a really skilled need, such as wound care and things like that. But the ones that maybe have dementia, now assisted livings have dementia units. Dave has one here in town. It's a 12-bed dementia unit. And it's locked. And so that's my feeling and seeing over the last 5 years, and particularly looking past the last 10 years, they're really changing that. One thing from a government standpoint is it's a lot cheaper. Medicaid in a skilled nursing facility, they get paid about $145 a day, $150 a day, where in a assisted living, they get paid, if they're lucky, $50 a day. So it's a huge discrepancy on payment, but it saves Medicaid a significant amount of money. Now, assisted livings, they usually run about $3,000 or $4,000 a month for private pay, but Medicaid is different. So this is who we are here in Rexburg. We're Madison Carriage Cove Health Resort. That's going to be our name. So I wanted to put a few of the pictures on.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, is that what that's for?
I think.
Oh, whoops. That works.
Is that okay?
Sure. So I wanted to kind of show you, these are renderings of what the facility, we're currently under construction, but it's going to be a health resort type feel. So that's the exterior, that's the room. Let me talk about the rooms a little bit. You know, these baby boomers grew up in, not all of them, but some of them really understand technology. So we actually got a 55-inch flat screen TV in every single room. And on that TV, it's a smart TV. So we added Netflix. They have an app for Netflix. They have a web browser on that smart TV. We actually bought a wireless keyboard that they can sit from their bed, and they can actually search the web and check their email, okay, or do whatever they want on the web. It's a Google Voice activated TV, so there's a button that says, you can push a button and say Netflix, and it goes Netflix, button, whatever you want to do. They're all private suites, and we're not going to have patients or residents, we're going to have guests. And we're going to check in guests and we'll check out guests. We're not going to have admissions and discharges. We'll check in our guests and we'll check out our guests. So the people in the building getting the therapy will be called guests or ladies and gentlemen. That'll be the culture that I teach the staff as we hire them. We're going to have fine dining. That's a rendering, and actually it looks very close to that. Very, very close to that. Chairs are even blue. So we'll have like a 5-star restaurant there where they'll be able to have a menu and they'll choose what they want to eat. We'll also have room service. So in each room they'll have, you know how you go to a fancy hotel and they have a menu option. So they'll have a menu in each of the rooms and we'll have room service for them. We actually even bought a towel warmer. And so part of that is before they eat, they'll wash their hands and their face off with a warm towel if they want to. We'll have servers, and we hired an executive chef with 8 years experience cooking in a restaurant and in healthcare setting. So it's going to be the best. In fact, we're trying to open up as a restaurant here in town. There's not a lot of good restaurants. You guys notice that? Yeah, isn't that sad? Over 10 years, they didn't improve the restaurant stuff here. Sad. Applebee's was horrible.
Still is.
Man, I shouldn't say this. I'm going to say it though. Did you know that Applebee's, they just warm up their food? They don't even cook it there. I was amazed when I found that. Anyway, so we feel like we could have an option for like a fine dining experience. And something we could do actually is do like a 55 prime rib night. 55 and up prime rib night. And so if you're 55 and up, we'll give it to you at our cost. And the more you cook for people, the cheaper it is, right? So that's that. We also have, this picture up here is a picture of our concierge desk. Actually, we won't have a receptionist, we'll have a concierge. We'll actually have valet parking. We'll have a fitness center. I don't have a picture of that, but that right there is the fitness center. We'll have the most latest equipment, something that's called an Alta G. It's designed by NASA engineers. It's a treadmill. And what you do is you put on these really cool kind of short things, and you step onto the treadmill, and then there's like a balloon around your lower half of your body. And let's say you want to weigh 80% of your body weight. You put 80%, and that's what you weigh as you walk on the treadmill. It's like walking on the moon, kind of. So the reason for that, for therapy, you're like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, we're trying to train astronauts. They're climbing up, you know, they're privatizing that now, you hear that, so we're trying to help those older folks make it. No. After a surgery like a joint replacement, hips and knees, sometimes they'll come with a non-weight bearing, or, hey look, you can't put 100% of your weight on your leg or your knee. Sometimes even with a stroke type victim or situation with the guest. So that allows them to start their therapy a lot sooner, as opposed to, a lot of times people come non-weight bearing and they have to wait a long time, like 4 weeks before they really start receiving therapy, because it'll mess up how the joint was done or whatever the surgery they had. So this will allow them to start their therapy a lot quicker. That's the purpose of it. In fact, if you go to the Alta G website, There's a little spiel about Kobe Bryant that talked about the Ultra G. He used it the last surgeries he had. It's really good for sports medicine. So with that Ultra G product, treadmill, anti-gravity treadmill, that's what it's called, we'll actually go market here at BYU, Idaho, but also the high schools and ISU probably even, and have them come have their athletes or whatever come get therapy as an outpatient type thing. Besides the Ultra G, we have a bionic leg. I really should have brought that equipment because I could have carried it. But it's really cool. So severe stroke patients, once they have a stroke, you really lose your cognitive ability and your muscle memory and how to move your legs and walk. And there's things you can do to fix that. One is just walking with them, and you should have the therapist behind them or walking alongside them. And but this is actually a bionic leg. It's a leg that kind of RoboCop-ish. You put it on your leg, and then you're able to adjust it and certain restraints, and the machine will actually walk with them on that one leg. And so it's teaching their muscle how to use it, their muscle, as opposed to the proper way. Because there's so many, when you walk, you usually put your heel down first, right? And then your toe. Well, when you're learning that whole thing again, it's harder to do. But when you have a machine moving your leg the way it should be moved, you're going to learn it a lot quicker because you're reteaching your muscles how to use your leg. And so they've seen amazing results with that bionic leg and helping people learn how to walk again. The last equipment that I'll mention, we're going to get a car, we already got, but it hasn't arrived, a car simulator. So we'll actually have a car seat you come sit down in with the steering wheel, gas pedal, and brake pedal, and then 3 screens. A lot of times these guests will maybe after surgery, be a little hesitant on driving or whatever. So we can actually have them sit down and they'll learn how to drive again without actually being in the car, because that can be a little dangerous sometimes, right? We don't want them to be in the car if they're not feeling safe. For my kids' sake, now that we live here, and all of your sakes. So they're actually able to sit down and that tests their reaction time. You can do all different types of weather. You can do people walking across the street, whatever you want to do to help them teach. Yeah?
How much are your guests going to pay to come to your resort?
That's a good question.
Because this is really, really, really nice.
Yes, it is, and that's why we built it.
And it's in Rexburg.
It is.
Wow. That's expensive. So it's something in Rexburg.
The thing is the nursing home that's on the hill and us will get the same amount of payment. It's Medicare works, it's an all-inclusive rate. So Medicare says, I'm going to pay you between $400 to $600 a day, and everything that happens in your facility you pay for. And so how do you make money, right?
But why do that then? Why do you choose to make it a resort and call them guests and do all these things if you're going to get paid the same as something else?
Because who wants to go to the hill and have rehab? Anybody here?
Yeah, that's the point.
No. No one wants to go there. In fact, that's why we're building it here. Is because no one will go to the one on the hill.
That's cool.
And not only that, we're creating a demand for this type of facility. With this demand, we're hoping is that we'll be able to pull people from Idaho Falls, from Driggs, from eastern Idaho actually. Probably not down to Pocatello, but I think we can get some people from Blackfoot. And if they come, and if we'll break even at 12 guests. We'll break even.
How many can you have? How many guests?
35. Total of 35. So when I was running in Texas, my building was making $120K a month net income. In a year, we broke $1 million. That's in all profits going to the company.
And that was you coming in. They said, we just want you to break even. If
Right.
you break even, we'll be happy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was so cool. Felt like a hero. I was like, man, I'm so good at my job. And I'm thinking, no, it's not really me. It was my team that was down there. I had an amazing team down there. So, yeah,
You said you guys are in the process of building the facility, right?
we are. We actually just put furniture in last week.
Okay. What are you looking to open, like, next month, 5 months, or?
So let me tell you about the licensing process for skilled nursing. Now, a lot of times if you go into a building that's already licensed, you won't have to deal with all this, okay? Let me back out. So I did my training down in Southern California with the Enzyme Group. The first day, they have a boot camp, it's called, for administrators in training. The first day, I walk in there, and we have a legal representative, Beverly Whittakin. She is the best lady I've ever met. She's a lawyer. And she sits down with 12 of us and said, I just want you guys to know that you just joined an industry that is most regulated, and the only thing more regulated is nuclear power. I'm thinking, can I go? I didn't sign up for this part. I didn't know this. Why didn't you tell me? Before I joined the company. So it's very highly regulated, okay? And so the process, once a year we have a survey from, anytime you get government money, Medicare and Medicaid, the government is crazy with their money. And then anyway, that's politics. Sorry. They just want to make sure you're taken care of. And the reason it's so crazy is because of this nursing home stigma that's out there. People are neglected. No one cares about them. So we're going to put all these rules in place to make sure that they're being taken care of, right? So I think that's where it's kind of gone. So once a year we have an annual inspection. But going back to licensing, so on a new build, you get it built, you get your certificate of occupancy. You have a life safety survey team that comes out and says from a life safety standpoint, environmental standpoint, the facility is good to go. And then after that, you have to check in guest, at least one guest. And then you have an initial clinical inspection survey where they'll come in and talk to the guests and look at our charting and everything like that. And then after that, after we pass that initial survey, it's called, we can start checking in as many as we want. There's no time frame. They don't tell you when that first they tell you when the life safety inspection is, which will be this month, but they don't tell us when that clinical inspection is, because it's supposed to be a surprise, right? So we're anticipating checking in our first guest, having 1 or 2 guests in the building until starting in June, and then we're thinking that the survey will come, clinical survey will come in October, November. So we really won't be open per se until probably December, October, December.
Where is it located?
It's located, the address is 410 West, First North. So do you know where the assisted living is at?
It was just back behind it. You know, the main street, you got Homestead and then back behind it.
And that's the exterior. It looks exactly like that on the exterior. So look for that building. Let me see. So that's what we're doing. We feel like it'll work, but we don't know yet. But I'm confident. Yeah.
So you said it was a 35-bed facility. How is that just for the skilled nursing, or all together with the assisted living side as well?
That's a good question. So 35 beds is the total number of beds in that building. That's the total number of patients or guests you could have.
How will it be split? Will it be split straight? Well, I guess it can't be split straight down the middle, but isn't it half
Assisted
and half?
living? Yes, now it is. So
Oh, okay.
because of how long it's going to take us before we can really start filling up, we actually licensed 20 beds as rehab and 15 beds as assisted living. So right out of the gate, as soon as Mark Grimes' name, that life safety inspection comes this month, we'll be able to check in the assisted living folks. But like I said, their pay is about $100 a day, where on the rehab it's about $450 to $650. And so the plan is eventually to have 35 rehab patients or guests. So, but at least we have some cash flow at the beginning. Yeah.
if I'm willing to hurt myself, can I come stay?
I know, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I could go through the bucket list of things.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Go out to the dunes.
Totally. I wouldn't recommend you getting that hurt though. But it's been a really good, we've given a lot of tours to a lot of different people and they seem to be really excited about it. It's going to be a challenge, my biggest concern as the administrator and CEO is just the census, right? Can we really 35? I don't know. I think we can. I'm confident we can. If you have a choice going to even the ones down at Isle Falls versus this one, because of the amenities and hopefully how people act, and we can fill up 35. Yeah.
How many staff members are you?
Good question. So here there's a couple staff, right? You look at CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant. Anybody know what a CNA does?
RN doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, all the grunt work, right? So they're brushing their teeth, they're changing the brief if they need to, or showering, or all that kind of stuff. Those are the most important people in your building. So CNAs, we'll staff about 1 CNA to 7 guests. And then on the nursing side, and they handle all the medications, we'll staff 1 to about 16 or so. So that's our nursing ratio. Yeah.
I've just noticed, I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but whenever I go on Craigslist, there's 50 companies offering CNA positions. That's just a very high demand. How are you going to attract the best CNAs? Because there's some really good ones and there's some really crappy ones too. So.
Yeah, really crappy is probably understated. There's really bad ones.
Because ultimately, if they do a bad job, you get a bad reputation, and
Yeah.
that hurts you.
So there's a book, I don't know if you guys have read it, but it's called Good to Great, I'm sure you have. No? Have you guys read Good to Great by Jim Collins? If you haven't read that, I'd read it. So it talks about in that book having the right people on the right people on the bus, but not only right people on the bus, but in the right seat. Okay? When I look at hiring, I look at 2 things. I look at culture and I look at skills. And all 3, I guess. Culture, skills, and that they're smart. But the most important one is culture. I feel like if you hire somebody that has a great culture, fun and caring and compassionate, and they're smart enough, I can teach them any skills they need to learn. And so there's a lot of ways to do that in interviewing. Different questions you ask is, tell me about experience where you got mad and what was it about and what did you do about it. There's team building exercises that you can do in the interview process in a group. One of them is you get a hula hoop and all of them hold the hula hoop by 1 finger and the goal is to get it down to the ground all together. And you can see how the people react when working in a team, and which ones kind of lead and which ones kind of follow and how they react when they're not doing what they're told and whatever. And then just scenario questions, if questions, right? If this would happen, what would you do? And then have you ever had that happen before, and what would you do? I found that no matter how hard you scrutinize somebody in interviewing, you still could end up with a bad person. And I've tried, I'm like, just give me a magic ticket to find out who the best is, but whatever that secret sauce is, or formula, or whatever. And you have people that interview great, and you feel like, man, they're the ones, and then they start, and you're like, wait, this isn't the same person that I interviewed with. But it all comes down to people you hire. When I first got to Texas, down in South Texas, there was a director of nursing there, and my life was horrible. She was a nice lady, but she just wasn't doing her job, and I had nurses calling me instead of the director of nursing, and I was in the building all the time. I think that first 6 to 7 months, my wife never saw me because I was in the building so much because there was so many problems. And so when I got there, I knew she wasn't right, but I couldn't just let her go at that minute. So I started an personal improvement plan, and she just never got there, so I had to let her go. And then I was the director of nursing until we found somebody. I had a nurse, I'm not an RN, so there was a nurse that was kind of the assistant, but then I found the right director of nursing, and holy cow, my life was, I felt like easy. I could go to work at 8:30 and get home at 7:30. It was fantastic. Just kidding, it wasn't that bad. I get home by 6:30 or so. My wife's saying, yeah, it was. So it all really depends on the people you work with, you know. And as soon as I got that director of nursing, I found the best marketer and second best marketer actually in the town. And he built our census up, and then he left, and by then it was really cool. Like a year after I'd been there, I was there for 3 years. A year after I had been there, I found out who the best marketer was. I started talking to her, Ella, and she still calls me all the time actually. And so I started courting her, not courting her, dating, but hey, come work with me. Let me tell you how I'm different than any other building. And it took me 2 years, and then she finally came on board. And she didn't even know I was trying to have her come. When she finally started, I said, Alva, you know how long I've tried to get you to work here? 2 years it's taken me to get you here. And she really jumped us from about averaging 20 to about 30 patients each month. She did an amazing job. So really, just it's the right people having them meet you makes your life a lot easier. So, did you have a question? Like a while ago.
I did. The question was, kind of goes along with this Elba Munoz stuff you said.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to know where these marketing people start bringing in your guests. Where are you guys pulling from?
Sure.
Yeah, because all these places you started out with really low
census, it's called, yeah.
our census, and then you bumped it up a ton. So what did you do?
So I started inside out, to be honest with you, at least the one in Texas. You know, one employee can ruin your building and ruin your business. You know, if you have one bad apple that's trying to cause problems with other staff, undermining you or saying that's dumb or whatever they might say, one person can ruin it. And so you have to find that one person, and you might think, well, maybe it's a group of people. And you think, well, why are these group of people running together? And you just figure out, find out, and investigate and find out it's just one person. And most of the time, they're not doing their job anyway. So you let that one person go, and the whole culture changed. And that's what happened with the director of nursing. As soon as I let that director of nursing go down in Texas and found the right one, the whole culture in the building changed. It was amazing. People started coming to work happy. And it's not like I fired everybody and hired all new staff. I just changed this one person. And they came to work happy. They're smiling. So that's a lot of it. But the patient flow is, they go to the hospital for surgery and then they come to us. So 95% of our guests come from the hospital. Medicare in a SNF requires a 3 midnight stay. So you have to stay in the hospital for 3 midnights, and then you can come to us for rehab. And really it comes down to relationships and finding out what people want. So in Texas, it was kind of creepy how we did this. Creepy in the sense that I didn't even know this existed. So certain doctors run with certain groups. And so we actually find out, and then within these groups you have a certain doctor that kind of runs the whole group of doctors. And so we started mapping this out, and we had 3 pools. We had one pool of, hey, getting to know people. We had one pool that said, hey, they're coming on board, and then another pool of doctors that says, we need to keep them happy, okay? And so we would look at these trends. So like, for example, you have an internal medicine doctor, that refers all their patients to a certain cardiologist, or refers all their patients to a certain infection control doctor, infection disease doctor. So all these kind of specialists are tied to this one internal medicine. Dr. Sanusi was his name. And so we found out what Dr. Sanusi liked, and nothing illegal. It's not like we paid him off. But to him, he wanted patients. He just wanted a patient load. And so when someone came into our building and they didn't have a doctor they wanted to use, and we'd suggest, hey, here's Dr. Sanusi, here's Dr. Koda, and here's another doctor. Which one would you like to use? And they choose Dr. Sanusi, and that's what made him happy. Other doctors are something different. They just want outcomes. They don't care about anything else except their patients being happy. And that's the way doctors should be, but unfortunately not all doctors are. At least not in Texas. I don't know the doctors well enough in Rexburg. I'm sure they're a little different. So. Let me just finish this thought. So there's a great doctor, Dr. Bassett, down in South Texas, that I was trying for 2 years. It literally took me 2 years before he could refer a patient to me. And we were consistent, but not too consistent, because we didn't want to tick him off. But we were consistent in talking to him. So first time I met Dr. Bassett, we were up there in this doctor's office and explained who I was. I was director of nursing that I let go eventually, and my therapy team that I changed to. And I said, hey, we're Veranda Rehab and Healthcare. You know, here we are, and we do therapy. And his response back to me was, you guys have a therapy gym there? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, wow. So this facility that I was at, Veranda, was known for long-term. They had good outcomes, good patient care, but they're just known for long-term. So no one knew they even did therapy there. And so it took 2 years, and finally, after 2 years, we were on the list. There's 2 facilities, us and one other one, that brand new one that I talked about, that he would refer patients to. And that was it. And there were 6 facilities in the town I was in. And we became second, one of the 2 top choices. What finally got us in the door is my marketer, the guy that I hired. He finally started going to surgeries where this Dr. Bassett would perform surgeries, and he would go watch a total knee get done. And then I started going. And we didn't even really talk to the doctor, but he saw us there. And I was interested anyway, and so was my marketer. But he saw that we really cared. We cared about his patients, and we wanted to see them get better. And in order to do that, we needed to understand what they went through during the surgery. And so we were the only rehab facility that went and saw their surgeries. No one else went. And even after we went and other people found out, Dr. Bassett wouldn't let them go. Which was kind of cool. So, but the other people besides the doctors are the case managers. I'll finish this thought. You know, the case managers, you have to get the results back out to them. So we would actually, if the guest was really happy, and all of 99% of them were, we would ask this guest, hey, can you write a note to the case manager? Just let them know about your stay. And so this this guest would write a note, hey, Maria, everybody's named Maria down there. Maria, thank you so much for sending me to Veranda Rehab and Healthcare. My experience was amazing. I'm so thankful for sending me there, or recommending, or whatever. And so we take that back to the case manager. Hey, this is from Maria, the other Maria, the patient Maria, your Maria. And then they love it because we saw those outcomes. So besides that, how we built census was every guest, we call them patients now, but every patient that left, I sent a report card out to the orthopedic doctor and the primary care physician saying, hey, this is how functional they were when they got here, and this is how functional they are in these 5 or 6 areas after they left. And then once a month, we take all of our checkouts or discharges, and we do a report and combine all of our outcomes in 1 month and say, okay, this is on average how people came in, and on average, this is how they came out. We also, inside the facility, we put up letters that guests or family members wrote. The thing about outcomes is you have to get them out. No one talks about good things that happen, right? typically. They talk about bad things all the time and they'll bury your business. But they never talk about the good things. A lot of times getting the good stuff out combated the bad stuff because we weren't perfect. That makes sense. That makes sense, right? You've got to get the good stuff out. You do. And it's not, they have to be measurable results. Satisfaction survey. So we did a satisfaction survey once a quarter with my staff. My staff. Done. Because I wanted to know how I was doing. See if my employees were happy. Because if my employees are happy, then my customers or patients will be happy. And in fact, one of the core values I have is customer second. Now that might sound ridiculous, but the core value of customer second means that the employees are first. And I like those CNAs that are wiping butts and taking people to the shower, if they are happy, can you imagine how happy the guest is going to be? They're going to come to work and say, this is the best place in the world to work at. And if you can make them happy, then the guests will be happy. So, but I want to know how we're doing, because it goes back to measurable results. And so once a quarter I get surveys for my staff. For my residents, I would do a survey within 72 hours. We have 24 hours to impress this resident or guest. If they're not happy, we lost it. And they'll make an opinion in 24 hours. And so we would do several things on that side. We would actually are and will. So my marketer is great. When he went to the hospital to talk to these patients or future guests, he would say, hey, what do you guys like? What do you like? And they'll say, hey, my favorite drink is Diet Coke or tea. They drink a lot of tea down there, coffee. My favorite team is Dallas Cowboys or whatever. And so my marketer running the store would get these special items for them, and when they showed up in their room, we'd have this basket waiting for them with this stuff that they love. It's about the mint on the pillow. You don't think that mint's important? That's the most important piece of the room. It's the mint. You think I'm joking? I'm serious. I'm serious. Look, it's all about the mint. You know, loyalty is built when you exceed expectations. When you meet expectations, there's no loyalty though, none, with guests or residents. When you exceed their expectations, you build loyalty, and that's when they'll come back. You know, so that's what we did too, right? We made every guest had to have a great, memorable experience. Are we okay on time?
We're actually, you probably got 2 minutes if we can have
Yeah, I keep going. Holy cow.
You're good.
I just go off on tangent. Anyway, so it's about getting your results out and measuring them. So the other thing I did was within 72 hours, every department that I had to go say hello to every new guest. And we had a morning meeting that I followed up with. We also assigned guardian angels. So each of my department heads were assigned 3 or 4 rooms, and they were required to go every day and round at every single 4 rooms. And not only check with the guest that's in the room, or 2 guests, because we had dual occupancy room, but then once a week or once a month, call the responsible party and say, hey, I just spoke to your loved one, Maria. And Maria's doing great. I just want to let you know that. And she had this concern, but I took care of it, and this is what I did. And I went back and talked to her the next week, and she's doing fine. Anyway, at this building, it's going to be a little different. We'll have uniforms. The thing is that I have to believe my team is part of a resort. That's hard, right? So I'll do extensive culture training at the beginning. But that's why I'm having uniforms. There'll be a nice scrub. Scrubs are what the nurses are seeing is wearing. Now, either that or polos, and my director of nursing said, no, not polos. Okay. But it'll be a nice looking, very nice scrub. It'll be uniforms. Not, you know how you walk into some nursing homes or long-term care rehab facilities and they're dressed in polka dots and 5 sizes too big or 20 years old sometimes, right? Our chefs will have chef coats and probably this certain kind. Anyway, so it's not just making the, you just have to make the whole atmosphere feel like a resort. It's not just, yeah, sorry.
Just real quick, I know we're a little over time, but I think it's okay, just because there's nobody after this, but I have two main things. Who do you think's a good fit for this industry, and then also, were you gonna talk about your internship program?
Oh, yeah. So in this industry, it really depends on what company you go work for. You know, the enzyme group that I worked with, they look for entrepreneurs. They look for somebody who can run your business. So they train you for 6 to 8 months, and then they say, "Here are the keys. Good luck." I'm like, "Really? I don't know if I can do that." But then you have corporate companies that, the big companies like Genesis and Life Care and stuff like that, will they have VPs of market or a VP of business collections, they'll have VPs of other people, VPs. And so really the administrator is just a paper on the wall, and that's all he or she is. And so you want to find a company that works best for you. I'm not saying that I shouldn't say a paper on the wall. You have some latitude and some things you can do, but it's not quite as free as other companies. So you want to look at your company when you decide where to work. Look, when I was out of school, I was just happy to get a job offer. I got one job offer, and I was like, heck yeah, I'm going. I don't care where it is, but I'm going because I just need a job. But now that I'm a little farther on in my career, I interview the company probably more than they interview me, because I want to get to know who I'm working with, and if I don't like them, then I'm not going to go work with them. Meaning not that I don't like them personally, it's just I don't like how they do business. Yeah. But you have to be able to make decisions. The hardest thing that I had to do was fire somebody. It's still hard. That is so hard. I hate it. Especially when they say, well, I need this job, you know, I have 4 kids at home, and I'm the only provider, and you're like, oh, cute. But that's hard. It's really hard. But the thing is, it's not the right fit. It's not. I wasn't the high paying place, and I'm not going to be here. Work should be more than just pay. Most people that are looking for just pay, they stay pretty short, and they find the next place that pays for them. I didn't touch on life balance, and that's why I wanted my wife here, because it took another 2, 3, 5 minutes. What time were we supposed to end at 6?
6. Is that all right with everyone?
I think if it's, I don't know, it's up to you, but I think the reason why it's nice having this slate is that people can stay. You can go a little bit over and have a little latitude, whereas we used to have at 2 to 3, you had to be out because there was a class coming up. If people need to go, I guess they can just go.
Yeah, I think that's why I was really, when my wife said I'd like to come this morning, I was like, holy cow, that'd be great. Because she might have a very different perspective, well, she does have a very great perspective about this industry, and about how in life you're able to manage it with family. So I don't know if you guys have any, before we go there, I guess, any last questions for me? Yeah?
Just the internship.
Oh, the internship. So I want to make it meaningful. You know, the last thing I want you guys to do is come and wonder what you're going to do today. So what I really want to do is make it more of a formal interview, or formal internship. So probably starting this semester, but next semester, when we have at least one guest, it'll be very formal. Look, I want to expose you guys to everything in this industry that I can and that you're willing to learn. If you guys get this exposure in a facility that's the state of the art, that has this kind of vision and that actually gets pulled off, crossing my fingers that it will, I think it'll be good for you guys. Because the better you understand this industry, look, I'm a CEO at 36. I would never make it that far in a hospital setting. I never would at this age. Financially, the finances are there. You know, when we were in Texas, we actually took a significant pay cut to come here. Financially, I probably made pretty close to CEO salary at pretty run well hospital down in Texas. It was very, very nice. So the other difference that I see between a hospital and here is that in a hospital I would get so far away from the patients or guests and their families. And for me, that's not what I wanted. You know, I want to be with the families and I want to be with the guests. I want them to know me. I want every single staff to know who I am. In a hospital setting or in other settings, you can make sure to do that, right? By doing rounds, but it's different. Every guest in Texas knew who I was, and knew my name, and they had my cell number, and they called when they had a problem. And for me, that's what I love. I love working with people, and I love helping people. And in this type of setting, I can still do a vision and management, and yet I can still help people. So I want you guys to understand that that's an option if that's the route you want to go. You know, there's, like I said, there's 4 areas in healthcare: hospital, skilled nursing, assisted living, and home health and hospice. And I want you guys to come and see what it is at this building and see if you like it. If you don't like it, I'm not offended. I really don't mind if you don't like it. But at least you'll know if you like it or not. And I'd love to have people come and have a very structured, you know, during my AAT program, they send it to every single department. And I would like you guys to do that. Spend maybe a week in each department. 1 week in housekeeping, 1 week in housekeeping, laundry, and maintenance, maybe 1 week. And 1 week in the kitchen, a couple weeks in nursing. And really understand this industry to see if you really like it. Because if you do, there's so much great things that you can do. And you can help get this stigma of the nursing home out of the industry. And you really see people get better.